Howdy folks, it's the 5th of September, 29th visit, Apiary 1. Just thought I'd show you the update on ivy, which is fortunately still hasn't come out, but it doesn't look far off. That's really ready to flower, and then we'll have boxes full of thick, sticky, very dark, fibrous honey, which is not good for bees in the winter. But yeah, I might just have to start picking frames out, so thought I'd just show you where we are. So it's the afternoon of the same day and smokers on the go, as you can see, and there doesn't seem to be as much pollen coming in this end at this apiary, but we're just having a quick look through for food, change frames if we need to. Yeah, that's all there seems to be needing to do now. Yeah, like I say, there doesn't seem to be a massive influx of pollen, but it is 1:30 in the afternoon, so they're, or well, maybe nearly 2 o'clock now by the time I've faffed around. So yeah, not much activity around these boxes. Little bit of activity, but not much, which means they've stripped them all out, which is good and bad. Oh yeah, there is a bit of pollen coming in there. Just saw one there with it all over her back. Look, right down on the floor. There she is. There's one. There she is, just gone to the left, covered in it. There we go, in she goes. Lovely. Wasp trying to get in. So fairly quiet day. They're not going mad, and the temperature is coming down in the evenings now, so you know, they're buttoning down the hatches, so to speak. Anyway, I'll do the smoke trick on these colonies and we'll get into it. Right, I've done the smoke trick and I've checked both the trays for food, and they just need syrup. They don't need any solid food. They're fairly okay for that. So we're just going to have a quick rummage through here. And see if there are any frames we need to. I think this one needed one frame, didn't it? I did bring some down. I'm not sure if you could see the dark bees on the one that I said about genetics, that thing, but look at that there, because the there, that one versus these. Yeah, you take all these videos and upload it to YouTube, and unless you've got the special thing, you know, that you have to pay for, the quality is not as good as it is when I'm filming it. So you can't really distinguish as well as you can when I'm doing it here. You know, I can see it plain as day, but when I look back at the videos, it doesn't come up like that. So yeah, see, it's cool. It's only just 19 degrees, which, you know, sounds pretty warm, and it is pretty warm, but for this lot, like I keep saying, they like 36 degrees in the hive, so this is sort of half temperature almost. Yeah, they've pulled that out, and well, have they? Not sure I'm going to gain anything by jettisoning that frame. I might do it right at the end of the season. All that's open for her to lay, but she's not laying in there. And I'm going to leave that as a marked brood frame. I might come back next week and it's full of it. There's one packed with lovely brood, and there are a few grubs down at the bottom there. but she's not going for it. Again, she is refilling it, so that's been hatched out and it's being relayed. Finally, I'm going to get round to taking that off, that queen cell. Not that it matters now, but just clean up the nest a little bit. Oh yeah, full of grubs. You can see them now in the sunlight. It's fantastic. So if they're being born, laid now, they're 3 weeks away, so that's the end of September. So that is really good news. So that means at the end of September we're going to have bees that are born for the winter, and there she is. Still marching around. She's laying in there definitely, because there are little baby grubs in there and eggs. So that's a joy. Yeah. She's obviously just laying at the front of the nest, and then they're starting to backfill the nest with surplus food. Yeah, so that's probably got eggs and grubs in, and it has. So that was the end of the nest last week, and they are storing a little bit of stuff on there, not a lot. But I'm not going to disturb them too much. It's good enough. Well, that's a really good start to the day, or start to this apiary anyway. But they're hungry. Look at them wolf that lot down. Alright, that's that. See, there's a little bit there, and there's a bit of that left. So I don't want to keep putting new stuff in if, you know, if everything's winding down for the winter. There's no point putting a whole load of new stuff in there, and then you've got to store it over the winter, which is an absolute pain. So it's probably better that I just give them none and then let them eat it all back, and just have to waste a little bit then rather than a lot. Right, just smoke these next door. What's that? Okay. So much nicer not having to do those blessed floors. What an absolute pain that is. I don't know why I bought into it, like a lot of things. No point beating yourself up over it. I bought into it because everyone said that's what you need to do. but over time I've made the decision that solid floors are the best all year round because of the temperature thing. I'll try and find that doctor. We went to see a speaker called Dr. somebody or other. I think his name's David. I can't remember his surname, but I'll find out. And yeah, he did a study, a scientific study on the temperature of bees, and it changed me, completely changed my attitude. That's why I started building these covers to keep the hives warm. And yeah, totally changed my outlook on beekeeping. That was a good 10 years ago now. So there's very little in there. Fair few bees in here. But tiny nest right at the front. Or is it this colony that's got the empty frames? I can't remember now. So much going on, so much to do. Just blooming forget it. Right, so that's on the verge of being capped over food. This one is pretty much empty. That's a nothingness frame, so I'm going to move that forward, and if they haven't done anything with it next week, then I'll swap it out. I knew one of these two. See, that's not much of a frame either. But these bees shut down so much, it's quite incredible how few bees actually go into the winter. Yeah, so that's quite a full frame, that can go back. And I think once the ivy comes out, I'm going to be struggling to take stuff out. I'm just going to be struggling for frames to take out, I should say. Right. Have we got any eggs and grubs on here? Not really, I don't think. But it's completely open, which is good. No, there's nothing much in there, but it is open, so we'll sort of live in hope that they do something with that. Like I say, once the ivy comes out, they might then start going at it again. But it is a job to see without the sun. Oh yeah, there are some eggs and grubs in here, in that bit there, so they are doing something, but that's... yeah, and this side, just here, that's all got eggs and grubs. So it's a slowly but surely type of arrangement with this lot. And liquid feed would probably stimulate it a bit, but it's still too early in my view. Yeah, there she is, charging around like a loon. She's going for it. What a lovely queen. Yeah, it's too early to start bunging the hive up with syrup, and I'm probably going to leave it another fortnight yet, which a lot of beekeepers will scoff at and say, no, you need to feed them now, but they are producing a colony, they're producing winter bees, and it isn't necessarily syrup that does it, it's pollen. The main stimulant is fresh pollen, and there is some of that coming in. And then the secondary thing is nectar. And so feeding syrup isn't nectar, obviously. It's syrup, which is sort of almost artificial honey. Which is not as stimulatory as pollen and nectar. So you can either water down the syrup, you could do that, but you know, when the weather's warm like this, there is a real danger, and I have experienced it about 8 years ago. There is a real danger that you get nice warm weather, nice sunny days, and they think, oh, there's a nectar flow that we've got available and there's fresh pollen coming in, and they build the nest up. Next thing you know, they're blooming swarming in October. So my personal view is, however few bees that you end up with for the winter, you want to end up with winter bees rather than swarming bees. So they've got plenty of solid grub here. Absolutely no reason to add any more. Alright, they're straight in there. So they are hungry, but there are a lot of bees, awful lot of bees. Still a large colony for this time of year. Right folks, move on to the United colony. Right, did the smoke trick a little while ago when I was shutting up shop next door, so these can go straight open now. Blimey, that's full. And it's full of bees. Struth. They're not going to take it kindly when I get rid of this super. Mind you, they're getting united with another colony, so yeah, lots of bees on there. Interesting to see whether this nest or this queen is still laying in the whole of this area, because these insulated boxes are 11 frames, don't forget. So it's not capped over, you know, there's a fair bit of honey in there, but it's not capped over, but they've got quite a full box of food above in that super. So they are still storing it upstairs, which is great. It's a sort of a nothingness frame. So we're on to the nest now. As you can see from the pin here by my thumb, and that's open It's open, but has it got brood in? So they're starting to backfill this side, so that's open. You can see the glistening here of the honey, and this bit's still open for egg laying, but this side is pretty much all syrup or honey or something. So I'm going to move this to the other side, because technically they are just shrinking the nest down, but only by that amount. That's a blooming nothingness frame. They haven't done anything with that, so I might move that out now, because there's no point. They're not doing anything with it. She's not laying in it. That might be one to replace at a later date. They're a bit jumpy, but it could be that the clouds have come over and it's quite humid, feels a bit thunderstormy. And there she is. Good frame of brood there. Just check the others. Yeah, that's all grubs. So's that. So I'm going to shut them up now because they're getting a bit jumpy, but you can see all that area there is all eggs and grubs now. So they're not even, yeah, they're not even going to be born until the first week in October, which is even better. Just going to make sure she's still there. Was she still on this frame? Can't remember now. Oh well. No. It didn't look upright, so I thought I'd just double check. Oh, a little bit angsty. It's unusual for this lot, but you know, you do have to forgive them at this time of year. It's quite stressful. Right. There we go. So thankfully that was a worth doing, uniting that colony. You can see how big an outfit it is now, and that is, annoyingly, that's probably got honey that's capped over now. Which is not going to go down well when I release that to the world. And they're still burying their heads in there. That's half full, that's half full. Just give them a bit more syrup then. I'm a trapeze artist. So, if their collecting skills, which are obviously a lot better than the others, because there's a lot of bees in there, and they've nearly filled that box up. So if you think about it, all the other colonies got the access to the same food sources. This colony's filling it up, loads of bees in there to feed, so they're not using it for themselves, they are over collecting, if you like, and able to store it as a result. So if we can keep them alive through the winter and they unite successfully with the ones next door, then that's going to be a good honey production colony next year. Anyway, on to the ones at the top now. Angela Rayner's just resigned, so I don't know whether that old beast, one of those American warship helicopters, is taking her home. And we're going to see that through the gap. Yeah, there it goes. Probably escorting her home so she doesn't get lynched. Done the smoke trick, so these can come apart immediately. There's a little bit of food in that super, but not much. A lot of bees in here. Still. Right, ladies, what's going on? What's going on is that they're storing all the honey downstairs. That's what's going on. So where's your nest now? Have you moved forward or are you staying at the back? Stored food there. Right, a really tiny little dot each side. Tiny bit of brood there, you can see. Tiny little brood, but they're starting to fill this in with honey, or whatever they're collecting. So I'm just going to leave that as a frame of brood, and that one's got nothing in it, so there was no, I'm going to move that back like I did the other colony, so they can start filling that if the ivy starts off. Fantastic, all full of eggs. There she is. You might have seen her before I did. Absolutely rammed with eggs. Fantastic. Superb. That's all ready to be hatched out, and is she relayed in there? Yep. Full slab of brood waiting to be born. So these aren't hanging about either, so when these get united with the loons next door, another full slab of brood. A few grubs at the bottom. Yeah, look, she's replacing them. They like it at the front, this lot here. They like the nest at the front of the hive. Wow, chock-a-block, and pollen. So they've got the pollen stored right next to the nest. You can see it's sort of mainly orangey coloured pollen. So another good Another good colony there, in good shape, as we sort of edge closer to the end of September really, which is when, you know, everything is pretty much had it. You start getting, you've got 3 or 4 weeks, the clocks go back, and you know, the nights are pretty cold, everything starts to shut down properly then. Textbook colony that, if there is such a thing. Right, quick check on the food situation. Plenty of grub. Another helicopter, I wonder what's going on there. Can't be 2 Angela Rainers. No, that's a private one. Right. That's that colony done. Right, I've done the smoke trick. I'm just waiting for it to percolate, and I've checked both the trays and neither need food other than a little bit of syrup. Which I've nearly run out of, so they'll just have to have what best they can. I'm down to about here, I think. So there's not much left. I'll just have to share it at the end. Right. This colony, we almost want them to scale back because of the uniting situation, and it looks like they have, without even being asked. I mean, you can see the number of bees in here compared to the one next door, and it's markedly smaller. So that's solid honey, or stores, or, you know, it's up to you what you want to call it. It's recognised as being stores, really. You can see there aren't many bees coming out here. Look at that. She is producing some grubs though. And there she is. Almost like I've stuck one of those little markers on there. That was such a good little dot, but I didn't do that. So here's the point where you start feeling sorry for her, that you're going to knock her out, but you can't, because we've got evidence, and even so on film. See, that's all full of eggs there. That whole bit there is all full of eggs. We've got it on film that these are angsty and can turn, and what you don't want to do is to leave it until next year and then you've got a proper problem. So I think all this will be sealed over brood in a couple of weeks. So we'll be transferring quite a lot of bees that will go through the winter. So if the queen next door is shut down for the winter, this lot's laid out, then you get the benefit of both worlds. Although, you know, these are actually, that's a food frame now. That's not, hasn't got any brood on it at all, and I don't think that has, no. So the nest isn't there at all, it's here, and you can see these are getting all jumpy again now. So it's a good reminder of what they're actually like when they start doing this. You think, yeah, there was a reason you lot are going, and here it is. So we'll move this colony a little bit more central. Actually, that one can go back, because that's familiar to them. Oh my word. What a load of work they've done there. Come on. Right, that's a bit better. Here we go. Loon alert. Again, look at them. They're not attacking me, but they're, you know, they're not calm like the bees next door. You just see me open that colony next door and all the others, and they're all, you know, oh dear, the humans in here again. And this lot, no. So you imagine what they're like now, or you can see what they're like now, I mean. You imagine what they're going to be like next year when they're on full pelt and suddenly the food supply stops. You imagine what they're going to do then. Exactly what those other nutters did down at Apiary 2. They're going to turn on you and bite. So I'm not risking it. I'll just smoke these next door and we'll get into them. So that's the least painful experience with them. So, you know, September and you're starting to, you know, be able to look at them without getting your face chewed off. Yeah, not good enough really. Right. That's got a reasonable amount in it. I'll have a quick check on the baby situation. Yeah, and these are scaling back as well, in fairness, which is good. You want a nice pleasant hum when you take a colony to bits. Not this, not that nonsense. It's a shame because they're doing all the right things. They're filling the hive up from the back to the front, moving the nest to the front as they go. Look at it, absolutely crammed full of food. But this back frame is absolutely solid with food as well. So if it wasn't for their temperament, they would be absolutely ideal. Look at that, absolutely, what's that, 4 frames now? But calmer than they've ever been. Nice frame of brood there. And a little bit of brood there. They are backfilling that really, so it's this side is the nest. So this is the beauty of this drawing pin thing. You can mark, well, that's what I do. I mark each side of the frame, so you can always see what you've got and where you're going. Yeah, nice slab of brood there. So when that's hatched out, she'll start laying again, which is what we want, because then all those will go to be donated, and there she is. Not a bad looking queen, but you know, temperament not good. I'm not going to say anything about the human population. So we're nearly at the end of the nest. I think this is going to be the nest has moved in. Yeah, look, they're filling all that with. So that, there's no nest on there at all. That's all pollen. So the nest has shrunk considerably from here to here. So look at that, 1, 2, 3.5 frames. I'm going to move it all forward now, and they have absolutely crammed those first 3 frames in. And that's right in the middle now, which is perfect for what you want when you're going to unite a colony. And here we go again, all jumpy. Boring. But not completely unmanageable as they've been in past weeks. Just give them a little bit of smoke to shut them up. Right, as you can see, there's a fair bit of that left in there. They'll wade through that. I'm going to give these less because they've got more in the super. than the other side. Oh, blooming bees just dropped in there. That's why I had that trouble last time. They all just dropped in there, so I'll have to tip all of that lot out into the hive next door, and if I can't, it'll have to go in this side. Right, see if I can get her out of there. There she goes. Right, she's up onto the sticks. I don't know where you came from, love, but you're safe now. And you'll just have to make friends with whoever you've ended up with, because I'm not chucking you out. Right. All done. Ooh. All done for another week. Well, a week and a bit now.